It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. Welcome to Red Eye Radio's continuing coverage as Gaza becomes the 51st state. Gary, good morning.
No, I'm not Gary. I'm Agent DEI.
You're a DEI agent.
I'm a DEI agent.
Yeah.
If you missed yesterday's show, we were talking about something completely unrelated to anything current event, and
Right.
I was talking about one time when I woke up that somebody that lived in my street was a part of the Mexican cartel, and I said I woke up and went outside. I looked, and my gosh, there's these jackets that say FBI, and then I see all these DEI agents, and Eric says to me, you said DEI, not DEA. And so it just led us to, oh, my God, there were DEI agents, weren't there? They were actually out there.
No, actually, there were. I think Biden hired 80,000 of them. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Agent DEI. Wow, what a day it was yesterday. Well, I guess you can say this. Any fears that Trump will be an isolationist?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, look.
That's gone.
Here's the thing. What I'm thinking is one huge live golf resort, right? I mean, because
live golf resort.
Okay.
The best golf courses in the world.
It's and welcome to the Gaza Open. Phil Mickelson's stepping up, and
There's Mickelson. He's 140 yards out. He pulls out his 9-iron. There's the ball. It's high up into the air. It lands on the green.
Exactly.
Uh-oh, some unexploded ordnance still left over.
Well, it's, at some point yesterday, had my wife been like shadowing me, hanging out with me, she was working, doing productive things, and I was doing what I do, looking at my phone saying, what? How are you going to make that work? And she would have probably thought I was on the phone then they were on speakerphone, and I was talking because I kept talking to my phone. Everything that hit yesterday. Then I wake up and it's like, all right, we're offering buyouts to the entire CIA. What? Wait, what? Now, people don't know, but in his effort to make his administration the most transparent ever in history, at 8 a.m., he's going to declassify everything. I thought, the downsizing, it's funny because it reminds me of when Elon Musk took over Twitter. He fired everybody. It was him and 3 other people working there, including the payroll team. And everybody was, oh, you can't, yeah, but you can't do it. And Twitter was fine. I don't know. I would love to get into the meetings of, okay, what are we going to do next? Let's offer a buyout to the entire Central Intelligence Agency, because my question would be, what if they all say yes? What if they all take it? And then I think of the Gaza thing, because when you listen to him talk and the joke about Live Golf taking it over, because he was talking about, look, we want to make it beautiful. It's going to be world class. He said world class. I'm listening to it live as he was talking. And I thought to myself, it's a bold idea. It's not something anybody has introduced at all. What do we keep defaulting to? There's a two-state solution and blah, 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 peace in the Middle East and blah, 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 two-state solution. And Trump's like, what if we just go in and take it all over and then just make Gaza great again and turn it into a very because basically it would be they're going to turn it into, I don't know, I guess you could call it a safe zone. Now you can get into the questions of, all right, how do you know someone isn't Hamas friendly or whatever, or part of Hamas? that would be posing as a peaceful Palestinian that wants to live in the new Gaza or whatever they're going to call it. Or, again, this is all in theory because we have no idea if this is actually going to happen yet. But this idea of it, I just thought to myself, I think that's probably the one thing about Trump that everybody was pointing to that was on board from the beginning. And it's a business type thought. I'll say thought because it's not a move yet because it would take a minute.
But he even said that.
Yeah,
it's not. This is what I'd like to do, but getting there, the minutia of the details. Now, go ahead. I'll let you.
Well, and I thought to myself, because at first I was like, oh, how are you going to make that work? That's never going to work. And then instantly hearing him talk to with Benjamin Netanyahu and Bibi also talking about this bold idea, because you could tell when Bibi was, I think he was answering a question to a reporter, and I don't have the phrasing down, but he was basically saying, this is what he wants to do. He did say something about Trump that is true. He said he says the things that people don't want to say, and then people will kind of go after him, and then after a minute they'll scratch their head and go, oh, you know what? He was right. Well, that's happened on a number of fronts, but you look at this idea, and Jerusalem, Israel has to be looking, because I'm thinking of moving the embassy, which Trump did in his first term. Israel has to be looking at this going, wait a minute, my gosh, could you imagine? It's a pretty big thought. Again, it's here's what it would be if we could make it happen, of creating this massive safe zone out of Gaza, because it's been decades. There's not ever going to be a two-state solution as long as Hamas is in control, as long as Hamas controls Gaza. And really, that's what I took away from the joint press conference.
Yeah, there's never going to be a two-state solution. And that's what I said, okay, this is the end of the stupid talk about a two-state solution.
That's because a reporter asked Trump about that. Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. And I also looked at it as the Israelis are not sure about, the support from America when Democrats are in. That's something that is on the mind of Israelis. Do they really support us? Is it only half the country?
Right.
Is the other? I mean, we've seen the anti-Semitism.
And is it going to change in 4 years?
They're not blind to all of this. And when you see the polling that was done the day before, 80% of Israelis agree with this.
Yeah.
80% of it, because this was actually, they had talked about it the day before the president actually was talking about it. They had talked about it. Now, there's a ton of challenges. The president's the special Middle East envoy said this can't even happen for at least 15 years, that what you have to do to rehabilitate that because of the tunnels and the unexploded ordnance is going to take 15 years, which is the challenge right there, because if a Democrat gets in office in the presidency in the next 15 years, it ends.
Well, in order to do that, Gaza would not be livable for anyone, because you would have to clear it out. You're going to have that entire infrastructure of that Hamas has created, underground infrastructure, all has to be gutted, filled in. It's not just cleaning up the rubble or what's left of Gaza after the wars over the years. You would just have to rebuild the entire foundation, including what's underneath the foundation, and what Hamas has built in terms of their, defense system or their attack system, whatever you want to call it.
What you got out of this, because in all likelihood, it probably won't be exactly like the president wants. Mm-hmm. But what it does is it says Hamas is out.
That's the takeaway. Exactly.
And so that's what I got out of it. And of course, you can sit there and say, this is what I would like to see it being here. Now, when he talked about the fact, U.S. troops that might be too soon to even bring up U.S. troops being over in Gaza. But that went right by the media. But the one thing, so a couple of things. It's not just one thing. The one thing is Israel now knows we fully support them. They know that Trump fully supports them.
Yeah.
And there was still a little bit of question, okay, what's Trump meaning on Israel? Okay, what does he mean?
Right.
Israel needs to end this thing. Well, does that mean that we need to keep Hamas in power? I mean, and now it's clear where Trump stands, which is where the United States will stand for the next 4 years. The second one is that Hamas is out. The two-state solution is history. The ridiculousness of the two-state solution that you and I have always talked about, because there is no two-state solution because neither side wants it and the Palestinians don't want it. The challenges that you have is when the president said, well, Palestinians want to get out of there. Well, some probably do, but many Palestinians are Hamas. So
exactly.
they don't.
That was my
so
point.
you've got to figure that out.
Yeah.
The rehabilitation from the Trump administration, because that was his special envoy. That's Trump's special envoy. Said yesterday it would take 15 years from now before they could even start. The headline from Witkoff: Full Gaza rebuild can't begin for at least a decade, can't be finished until at least 15 years from now. And that's the point when you talk about Israel. The Democrats are not supporters of Israel.
Right.
So you would need, number one, you'd need congressional approval to do a lot of the stuff to spend the money if the United States is going to be spending money, over there. But it's not going to be, is it going to become a territory of the United States? I mean, it's there's so many things to go through. But again, that's for another day. What we got out of yesterday is Israel knows that we support them, and the official position of the U.S. government is stop talking about the two-state solution. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. The whole government process of what it would be, that was talked about. How do you have that?
Right.
Well, Hamas is out.
Right.
Hamas cannot be a part of it.
Right.
And so you got clarity there. The future stuff about where you do is a future that every single city talks about. Here's our master plan for the next 15 years.
Right.
Here's our master plan. Here's what we'd like to do.
I was just thinking about that. Like, they used to build here's on a huge, massive tabletop in front of the press. They would bring out all of these, this is a mini mock-up of what the city will look like in the future and everything else. And what this does, really, what they were putting in front of you, what the Trump administration right now is, or I would say the effect of what they're putting in front of you, is that, hey, imagine a world without Hamas. Imagine a Gaza without Hamas.
Right.
If we were to go this direction, what it could be.
The potential that you can change the Middle East. And remember, because it was the what was the Abraham Accord? And I think that there is excitement from many countries in the Middle East that Trump may be, by doing this and what his vision is, which is peace and prosperity, whatever. And what we saw with the accords back during the Trump administration that nobody expected, which was just, great. Trump was mocked for it, but he got it. He got that done. Is a possibility. It brings hope. It brings possibilities that the United States backs peace and prosperity, and is willing to back it up.
Well,
that's a great sign. It's a great start. And at the same time, Israel knows you have our full support and we back you completely.
Right.
And the two-state solution is stupid, is dumb. Stop talking about it, Democrats.
Right. I mean, there was only what I found interesting was there was only one question from reporters about the two-state solution. And the reporter that asked it sounded so out of place in that moment. I thought, wow. That really sounds like such a dated question, like stale leftover question. Do you even understand what we're talking about here kind of question? And what else wasn't there was the Jim Acosta spirit of, Mr. Trump, would you like to say any words about the dossier and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. It's, you had, there were questions about a number of things, but that one two-state solution question, I thought, I almost expected the other reporters to go, boo. You know what I mean? It was so out of place. And that was interesting to me because it's a different tone. The questions being asked were, I won't say it's what the media should be asking, but none of it was activist type, except for that question, maybe. That was as close to activist as you could get in that, I don't know, it was only, what, 10, 20 minutes, whatever it was.
But it's an okay question to ask because
Sure.
the response, it's as you've always said, you control the answer, and the answer would be no.
Right.
No two-state solution is dumb.
Because the follow-up and the answer to it, and I forget, again, I don't have it in front of me verbatim, but the answer to that was a complete shutdown of that idea.
Right.
And that's what further isolated that question and made it look just childish and outdated. It was a very interesting press conference.
866, we got a great show ahead. 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Tires command a lot of attention. As a top expense for drivers and a leading cause of CSA violations, any tire maintenance practice that can help extend tire life is worth consideration. Consider tire balancing, which can set you up for savings and a smoother ride before your tires touch the highway. Tire balancing corrects an uneven distribution of weight in tires and wheel assemblies and offers benefits like improved fuel economy, increased tire life, and reduced vibration. Unusual shaking in the seat, cab, or steering wheel is a warning sign your tires might need to be balanced.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up, we're going to be talking about this. If you could raise my volume just for a moment here.
I'm going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. 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 We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. Thank you, everybody.
He does sound...
he sounds aroused.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Sounds aroused there.
Schumer sounds aroused there.
Yeah, to go back to his comment from last week.
He sounds...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds quite aroused.
Yeah, quite aroused.
God, do not do theater of the mind. Do not do theater of the mind. Do not do theater of the mind.
Yeah. And by the way, you're welcome for planting in that in your mind.
Well, it's they're trying to again say that Elon Musk, and I saw this. You could see it on social media. This is an oligarchy. He has no authority whatsoever. You're right. Elon Musk has no authority.
Right.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Trump has authority.
Yeah. Right.
Elon Musk can suggest whatever he wants. Elon Musk can't do anything. Only the president can.
Right. It's like some people are just realizing that.
If we told the president, hey, we think you ought to check this out, and he checks it out, we think this should be gone, and the president says it should be gone, Eric and Gary didn't eliminate that program. The president did.
Right. Exactly.
This isn't hard.
No, it's not.
So the Democrats, again, have to go back to doing what? Lying about what's actually going on.
Exactly.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I mean the USAID. I tell you, that whole controversy, the Democrats aren't going to be able to win it, and here's why you can't win it: when you have an organization that has basically been left on its own, to do things, and we'll go through some of the things that it has done, that you cannot win it with the American public. Your only response, and you could see it, that the talking points were out because I saw it yesterday, that Elon Musk can suggest, he can criticize, he can say this is going to go and this is wrong. Only the president or the Secretary of State, which is Marco Rubio, which is a representative of the president in the executive branch, they can do things and they can change things and where the money is allocated in USAID. Mm-hmm. What they can't do, they can't close down the department. Congress has to do that. Mm-hmm. And if Congress specifically allocates money somewhere, that's where the president would have a tough time, if Congress allocates the money specifically for an area. But that's really not the case with USAID.
Right.
That isn't what's going on. They've been left on their own to do things, which is why, even when Marco, well, we're an independent agency. Nope, you're not. You are under the authority of the Secretary of State, which means you're under the authority of the executive branch and the President of the United States.
Yeah, right.
And that's from Congress. So the only thing that they can do is say that Elon Musk is making these decisions. Elon Musk is not making those decisions. Elon Musk is saying, this is a problem, Mr. President. I think you should shut it down.
Right.
I think this money is a waste. This should be shut down.
Right.
Congress didn't appropriate this money. They did. The executive branch has the authority over it. You do it.
Well, when they announced that the offices would be closed on Monday over the weekend, the liberal activist media was implying that Elon Musk himself was going and posting signs, the closed sign on the door, that he was making all the decisions there.
Right. Well, he could post the sign as long as the president makes the decision or the Secretary of State makes a decision. He can post the sign. It's interesting. Democrats, how many times do we have to explain to you the separation of powers and the three branches of government and how things actually run? They know how things run.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just wish to lie about what's going on here.
Right.
An oligarchy is running it. No. A billionaire the president has said, as a completely independent entity, as a private sector entity, give me the suggestions of what you wish to do. If I agree with it, I will do it as the chief executive of the United States in a department that is regulated by me and money that is not allocated from Congress. Now, if the money's allocated from Congress, you're going to get a court fight on that. That's simply the way that it goes. Mm-hmm. But this has been an agency that's been allowed to do what they want to do.
Right.
And that's what we're an independent agency. Nobody runs us. Shut up.
Yeah, that's not true.
We live in a representative government. Somebody does have authority.
Well, I could understand, by the way, over the last 4 years, people taking the position, we're independent from the White House. We're independent from Biden. Pretty much everybody was, because we don't know who was running the country over the last 4 years. But this whole thing implying that Elon Musk has the authority over and over again. It's, by the way, everything you're looking at in terms of, all right, we should make cuts here, we should make cuts here. We should offer a buyout to the entire CIA. All of these things make sense to people. When people, the rank and file, look at this, it's like, oh yeah, they should trim the fat.
Well, let's look at it here. From Wall Street Journal lays it out.
All right.
USAID is hardly full of Mother Teresas who only want to do good without a political agenda. House Foreign Aid Affairs Chairman Brian Mast cites example of USAID's progressive agenda at work. The agency in the Biden years supported electric vehicles in Vietnam and a transgender clinic in India. A Serbian LGBTQ group received $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. There are many other examples. Levitt the other day, she laid out a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
These grants are dumb and wasteful, but some USAID spending may undermine U.S. interests. An analysis by the Middle East Forum says $167 million of USAID money has supported radical organizations around the world. $122 million of that aid was going to groups with foreign terrorist organizations. According to the report, USAID has given millions of dollars to organizations directly in Gaza controlled by Hamas, and that recipients of the money have called for their lands to be cleansed from the impurity of the Jews. The Middle East Forum notes that money also flows to anti-American groups through intermediary recipients that fail to vet local partners. This sounds like an agency that needs a house cleaning and maybe a reduction in what it does so it can focus on the most important. That's what Secretary of State Marco Rubio now says he plans to do, rather than shutting the agency down, as Mr. Musk claims he wants to do. Mr. Musk can't shut it down in any case. Congress established it as an independent agency in the late 90s under the supervision of the Department of State. And so it would require an act of Congress to close it, and that isn't about to get 60 votes in the Senate, which is true. The USAID uproar is a taste of the pushback that Trump is going to face as they work to shrink and reform the executive branch. What Ronald Reagan called the iron triangle of interest groups, Congress and the news media, isn't going to give up power or money without a fight, and you can add career regulators to that triangle. I'm not surprised by any of this. I mean, you and I, we knew they're going to go crazy on it.
Yeah,
we knew they're going to lie on it.
Right.
That's what they do.
Right.
And so that's what they're doing. And that's what was going on yesterday. And it's like, okay, let's break this down. Let's make it transparent. Let's let the American people see what's going on. They're not going to, when you see where the money is going, again, you have to understand where the American public is at. The American public wants probably 95% of foreign aid cut.
No, I mean, you get this is inevitably where it begins when you talk to people about, all right, should we trim the spending? Is there government waste in spending? Yes. Well, where should we start? Wow, foreign aid. It's, and you and I have been doing this a long time, it's almost always the first answer, which is foreign aid in terms of the overall spending. It's a drop in the bucket. But people look at that, though. And by the way, also, this move is something that is right out of the Trump ideology playbook that he's been talking about for a long, long time. The countries should pay their own way. He didn't really get into the weeds on foreign aid specifically, with different nations, but he has been on this for decades about other nations pretty much have to stand on their own, and there are a few exceptions. And you look at USAID here, and you can, as you were just talking, Levitt did it the other day, there is a long list of things that if you put that in front of the American people, I think you'd get about 95% of people going, no, we can't be doing that. We can't be spending the money on that.
Here's the quote from Jamie Raskin yesterday to Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. Quote, "What I see are all the telltale signs of a coup. A coup is a seizure of state power by unelected actors who work to take over critical infrastructure of the government outside the rule of law, and that's what I see going on right now." That's a lie.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a lie by Raskin. That's not what's happening. The president can take consultation from anybody in the United States. He makes the decision as to what to do. And with USAID, the responsibility is with the Secretary of State, who reports to the president. Don't any liberal attempt to tell us, because you don't care, you're trying to get rid of the separation of powers. You don't believe in the separation of powers. We view the separation of powers, the three branches of government, as one of the most sacred things in the Constitution. So don't tell us, because we know. And we know because of what you want judges to do. You want judges to make law, not interpret the law. We know what you think about the three branches of government. You don't want it. We do. You're the ones that promote unconstitutional things, not us. And so all they can do is lie and say that Elon Musk is making these decisions. No, he's giving recommendations to the president, who then makes those decisions. And he gives recommendations to the Secretary of State, who has the responsibility to oversee USAID that was given to him by Congress.
Right. That's
how it works. That's the chain of command. Shut the hell up.
I like that ending. But I don't think they understand what they're showing of themselves on the left. You're fighting, you're crying and screaming about foreign aid, when all of America, the rank and file, is, in fact, the reason Trump won is because everybody is saying, what are you doing for us? And they're fighting to keep ridiculous amounts of foreign aid spent on ridiculous items in place. They still don't get it. They still don't read the room.
Well, you notice that they won't go point by point.
Right, no.
On what Trump wants to cut and what Rubio wants to cut.
Right.
They don't go point by point. They simply lie and say that the process is somehow a coup.
Right. And they want to build fear in you that Elon Musk has all of this power. They're trying to build fear in people, and ultimately they're screaming in order to protect money going to other nations. You're not going to win. You're not going to win that with the American people right now where they are financially. You're just not.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, remember that we were told if government employees had to go back to work, that they couldn't work remotely, that half of the workforce in the federal government would quit.
Yeah.
Or more than half would quit.
Right.
70% would consider. Well, out of 2 million, they got 20,000 to take the buyout as of right now.
Right.
And I think It's Wednesday today. It's just a blur.
It's just one right now, especially with Trump doing so many things in a few weeks. It's like, man, it doesn't stop. Yeah.
Right. There are no individual shows, as we've talked about.
Right.
It's just one runs into the other. It's just
Right.
we take a quick coffee break, and then quick coffee break, take a quick nap, and then come back again. It just continues.
Yeah.
But I think by Thursday, tomorrow, they have to make the decision as to whether they want the buyout. And I guess this would have been I heard this yesterday, so it might have been Friday was the last that they got the numbers. Was 20,000 people said that they wanted a buyout. So, because it's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah. I wonder what the demographics are in that group. How many were close to retirement age anyway?
Well, we have one Red Eye Radio listener.
That's right. He
said-
called the other day.
Yeah, he said,
Yeah.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
all across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. I just found this on X, Eric.
Yeah.
There was somebody who was Doge before Doge.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, yeah.
And
We've played him many times.
Yes. And this goes back, I don't know, I'm going to guess this is from the 80s.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Milton Friedman, the late economist, on what he would cut. All right.
All right.
On what the federal government should not be involved in. Here we go.
Keep them or abolish them? Department of Agriculture.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Commerce.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Defense.
Keep.
Keep it. Department of Education.
Abolish.
Gone. Energy.
Abolish.
Housing.
Except that energy ties in with the military.
Well, then we shove it under defense.
That's
the little
right.
bit that handles the nuclear,
Right, that ought to go under
plutonium
defense.
and so forth goes under defense, but we abolish the rest of it. Health and Human Services.
There is there is room for some public health activities to prevent contagion, such a thing as, for example.
So you'd keep the National Institutes of Health, say, and the Center for Disease Control down
not
in
the
Atlanta?
National Institute.
Oh,
No,
no?
those are mostly research agencies. No, that's a question of whether the government should be involved in financing research.
And the answer is no.
Well, that's a very complicated issue, and it's not an easy answer with respect to that.
We'll eliminate half of the Department of Health
Yeah,
and Human
something
Services?
like that.
Okay, one half. There we go. Housing and Urban Development?
Out.
Oh, didn't even pause over that one. Department of the Interior?
Oh, well, but housing and urban development has done an enormous amount of harm. My God. If you think of the way in which they've destroyed parts of cities under the rubric of eliminating slums.
Jack Kemp.
You
is-
know,
Go ahead.
you remember Martin Anderson wrote a book on the federal bulldozer describing the effect of the urban development. There have been many more dwelling units torn down in the name of public housing that have been built.
Jack Kemp has proposed selling to the current inhabitants of public housing their unit, their townhouse, their apartment, for $1 a piece, and just shifting the ownership to the people who live in
If you got rid of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would be worth doing that.
All right, done. That's gone. Department of the Interior, your beloved National Park Service.
Well, given that the problem there is, you first have to sell off all the land that the government owns. But that's what you should do. You
But it
should
could be
get
done
rid of
pretty
it.
quickly.
It could be
The whole-
done.
the whole
You
series of
should do
auctions.
that. There's no reason for
All right.
the government to own. The government now owns something like 1/3 of all the land in the country.
And that's too much. Should go down to zero.
Should go down to, well, not entirely zero. They ought to own the land on which government buildings are.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something, and you're seeing this fight go on, and it's the fight. I read a great book this goes back, 20 years ago, called The Founding Brothers. And it's about the fact that the one fight that will be there was there day one, that will go on till this country or the world ends, will be a small central government, federal government versus a large one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And, it goes all the way back to, Adams and Jefferson.
Right.
As to, whether we should have the big, in Madison, the big central government or the smaller central government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening, right now. You and I, there was a story out a couple of weeks ago about, is Trump going to, accelerate the privatization of Fannie and Freddie?
Mm-hmm.
And you and I said for the longest time that Fannie and Freddie shouldn't exist.
Right.
There is no need for the federal government. We saw what happened in 2008, 2009 was not a result of the private banks. The private banks did not cause that. It was the federal government.
You
It
take
was the
Fannie
federal
and
government
Freddie out of the
mix.
equation, and it would be an organic lender-borrower situation the way it always should have been, and the qualifications. Those lenders were against really working against the Congress and the liberals who were saying at that time, you need to write these subprime mortgages to get people out of poor neighborhoods and help people. And it's identity politics, by the way. These individuals need your help, and we'll create we'll have Fannie and Freddie, these entities that will buy the mortgages and serve, and this entire equation built on this noble sounding idea of putting people in homes that they couldn't afford. And it was anybody who looks at the equation, the entire equation, if you look at how that was all set up, it's exactly the playbook from the left. It always has been. Identity politics. We need to get people out of poor neighborhoods. We need to get these individuals these groups aren't getting loans from banks, and we'll set up a big government entity too to back them up. And you got to have so many of these subprime mortgages on your books if you're a bank. Otherwise, we won't consider you for things like mergers and everything else. We're going to be really harsh on you on the rules. And they were like, all right, well, fine. If Fannie's going to take this off of we originate the loan, and then 30 days later, 60 days later, 90 days later, boom, we sell it to Fannie. It was a catastrophe waiting to happen, which finally did. And it's not over.
Well, and that was part of, what we've always said. The biggest problems that we have been caused by government. During the Biden administration, the biggest problems we had were created by the government. And that's because we give them way too much power.
Yep.
Way too much power.
Yeah.
Look, one of the reasons that Trump's doing is all these executive orders, and then Biden did all the executive orders, is because I don't believe that any president, irrespective of their political party, should have the current power that they have under executive orders. But that's because Congress has said, we don't want to deal with it, you deal with it.
Right.
And so, you're going to have what other party is in power take advantage of it, because Congress has said, here's the money, and you guys sort of do whatever the heck you want to do with it. Here's just the money we're just going to give you. Not that they shouldn't do that, for example, on things like emergency aid, because Congress cannot specify, for the most part. If you look at FEMA, they can't specify, where that's going to be spent, because they don't know where the event might happen.
Right.
The catastrophic event. Right. And so at that point, it's up to the executive branch to figure out what to do. But with for example, U.S. aid to have that as an independent agency that that really has not been responsive because you didn't have the Secretary of State really say, is this money being spent in America's best interest?
Right.
And that's what's happening now. And the liberals are upset about it because the things that they have been promoting and wish to spend money on is not in the best interest of the United States of America.
Right.
And we know it. And we know it. And the Democrats don't care. They wanted an open border. Is an open border in the best interest of the United States of America? No. Was massive inflation in the best interest of the United States of America? No. Was promoting defund the police in the best interest of the United States of America? No. Was saying no bail, let's not punish criminals in the best interest of the United States of America? And I know a lot of those actions were local, but remember, it was on the federal level and the international level with Soros funding and the federal Democratic Party agreeing and promoting the funding of radical DAs that wouldn't enforce the law. Was that in the best interest of America? No. And so you've got the public said, we don't like this. And so the new administration has come in, and they can have whatever consultant they want.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk is a private sector consultant. He's not an oligarch. He's not running the government. He is suggesting, and the president is following his suggestions. That is not an unelected representative or an unelected official running the U.S. government.
Right. Right.
And so it's just, it's ridiculous. It's like the whole thing that they went nuts over, remember, Project 2025. And it's so funny because you've ever seen, and you and I have actually read it. I mean, it's so expansive that it's like now they're saying, see, he's following Project 2025 because it's 1,000 things.
Right, exactly.
And it's 1,000 things that conservatives agree with.
Right.
This is what we should do. And so the president is doing some of those, not all of those. See, he's following 2025.
It's like saying if he has lettuce on his burger, he's thinking about being a vegan. I mean, it's
he's on the road to becoming a vegan.
He was eating vegetables.
Which
everybody knows.
Yeah,
he doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's an accusation that would not be credible against Trump.
Right. The closest you can get is onions on the quarter pounder. But I don't know if
ketchup.
Exactly. Remember, ketchup is a vegetable. Remember, kids, ketchup is a vegetable.
I'm a vegan because I eat ketchup.
Exactly. But it is, when you step back and look at the big picture, the liberal reaction on everything is, hey, these guys are doing what they promised to do and what got them elected. How dare they? This is, all of these are agenda items. Every one of these things are agenda items. It's what landed you. And they don't have anything. They have to lie, build a fear. They don't have anything they're promoting. They would love USAID to go on forever. They would love for the border to be open forever. But keep in mind, they don't have anything new. So the next time around, the only thing they're going to promise is we're going to go back to doing everything, essentially, that destroyed this country. We're going to spend more. Inflation. People are going to be able to come into the U.S. easier. Broken border. I mean, everything. And, of course, the liberal transgender movement is going to be back in full swing if they ever take repower, which at some point a Democrat will be back in the White House. But that's going to be a very tough sell over the next several years. Now, things can change. They often do. But the very basics of the reality, the harsh realities that hit American families and culminated in the win for Trump in 24, those things are still screaming, and they're still hot. They're still hot issues right now, and it's in part why Trump is doing so many of these agenda items, because he knows there are things you can't, like, he even said, I can't bring prices down right away. There are things you're not going to be able to do, to demonstrate to people. So it's going to, and what he's doing isn't busy work, but there are things he can do right away, and that's what he's focused on, at least apparently. If you follow his agenda daily, which good luck keeping up with it, because Netanyahu even mentioned it. This was just the first 2 weeks, and he just had a whole list of things. That's where we are. This is where we are right now, but the left is screaming. They're doing things they promised to do, the things that got them elected. We can't believe it. Well, we can.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Just because idling is common doesn't make it smart. Idling a diesel uses about a gallon of fuel per hour, which can cost you about $180 per week at $4.50 per gallon if your truck idles 8 hours a day. Idling easily can cost you a few thousand more in fuel alone per year, not including the added engine maintenance expense that results from excessive idling. Harder on your truck's engine than highway driving. In addition to operating costs, many governments impose no idling laws and regulations with fines as high as $25,000. Instead, there are many alternatives: an extra blanket for cold temperatures, window screens for when the weather is warm, bunk heaters, and various auxiliary power unit options abound in this day and age too, many powered just by batteries. Otherwise, diesel and gas gensets burn far less fuel than your truck's engine. Research options to find your fit. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Now, the good thing about all of this is we get to hear from Maxine Waters. I don't remember the last time we played a Maxine Waters audio cut. Do you?
I don't remember.
All right, let's have some fun. All right, here we go. All right.
We have convened here in the right place, the Treasury Department. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. Nobody told you you could get all of our private information. Nobody told you you could be in charge of the payments of this country. We have told you you've made enough money off our government yourself. And now you want to take everybody else's payroll and make sure that they don't make the kind of money that you've made.
That's not an argument.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Oh, when she said nobody's elected your ass, I thought, wait a minute, is she talking to Elon or Kamala?
Well, again, it's the big lie that Elon Musk is making these decisions. Elon Musk is making zero decisions. There is nobody in the federal government that has to listen to what Elon Musk says.
Right.
If Elon Musk says we're going to shut down USAID, it would not be shut down. Right. If Elon Musk said, I am telling USAID that this particular program must stop, it would not stop.
Right.
And if it did stop, we'd be the first people to say, he doesn't have that authority. You don't need to listen to him. Elon Musk is making suggestions to the President of the United States and also the Secretary of State, who has the authority over USAID. How many times do we have to explain it to Democrats how the country runs?
You know,
I mean,
another great part of this is the discussion around it, because they're crying, whining, screaming about all of this. People are looking at this going, wait a minute. What is this whole USAID thing? What is this?
yeah.
I need to do a little research on this. What are we spending this money on? Why are we doing that? Again, going back to the very populist response on should we cut government spending, the first answer is always aid to other countries. And when you talk, and then they get into the weeds on USAID, it's like, why would anybody be against cutting USAID?
Yep.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, my gosh. X is so much fun today.
Yeah.
Somebody put this together. This was Democrats' response yesterday to the president being in the process of reviewing, because that's what he's doing, reviewing federal spending.
We cannot allow Elon Musk and a small group of people to secretly behind closed doors.
Yes!
We cannot.
1,000 kids in a gymnasium, I told you.
Ah, yes, you said that, remember?
Been saying it for years. That's what it sounds like. Again, Democrats don't read the room. They don't realize what they're saying is, how dare this guy fulfill his agenda and campaign promises.
Well, the interesting thing is, Randy Weingarten, who is, the head of the teachers union, remember, she is the one that kept schools closed. She didn't give a damn about students.
Right.
Didn't give a damn. She never did give a damn about students.
Right.
But listen to her, and this is her talking about, she wants the Department of Education, to stay.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And, but here's what she said. Yes, here's what she said on MSNBC as she's promoting that the Department of Education on the federal level has to stay, that the federal government is absolutely necessary for education.
Right.
They don't even have their ducks in a row. Listen to this. Here we go.
States and localities run education. That's where 90% of the funding for education goes. They already run it. They should run it. The federal government should not run it.
That means no edicts should come down.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Wow. If Congress wants to appropriate general funds on a yearly basis to school districts and have them spend it as they believe they should, if there's a problem, well, I might be against what they're doing, but they have the authority to do that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But here's on the total reviewing spending. Here's John Kennedy yesterday, the senator from Louisiana. Here you go.
You get the point. I make omelets. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Now, President Trump ran for office saying, I'm going to review every single penny in the federal budget. Now, how are you going to review the spending in the federal budget without reviewing the spending?
Exactly.
They can't win the argument, and the thing is, they cannot win the legal argument.
No,
and they cannot win that argument there.
Right.
Trump says he's going to look at every single penny that's spent in the federal government, and he can't do it. So he's getting an independent, private agency to give him suggestions of what should happen.
Right. Yeah. By the way, we need a book. Someone needs to write the book on Kennedy. Quotes Senator Kennedy. He's had some pretty funny ones. Some
obvious.
Very, yeah. In this one, but that's again, it is the agenda that's playing out. You can't win this with the American people. The left can't win this with the American people. They decided back in November.
Yeah.
He was promising all these things.
And so I tell you what the Democrats are trying to take advantage of. In the polls, Musk is not popular.
Right.
The
Right.
review of the federal government is, so what you do in this case is you simply do as the Republicans are doing. As Levitt did the other day. Here's what USAID is doing. Here's the stuff that we want to cut. Here's it specifically, and this came from Elon Musk. And people go, this is Elon Musk found this, and he found this, and he found this, and he found this. And he has said and suggested to the president this needs to go away, and the president agrees with him. Well, you look at the only thing that the Democrats are arguing, and that's why we're not afraid we're not trying to censor any Democrats. We want to hear what their arguments are. We would never censor. That's why Republicans and conservatives aren't the ones in the censoring business.
Yeah,
we never want to censor adults. Now, again, I can hear, yeah, you want to censor what children see. Yeah, you're an idiot. And
yeah,
that doesn't even deserve an answer anymore.
Right.
You know, it's just like it's so dumb. You want to ban books? No, we want to have age-appropriate material for children. You idiot.
Right.
As we've always done. And you've done it.
Right.
We've all done it.
Right.
Well, we don't want to do it anymore. I'm heading the new group, Porn for Children.
That's right.
It's like, what the hell? These
Welcome
people are-
to Obscenity for Kids. I mean, it's so perverted.
It really,
We were
it
asking
really
the
is.
question from day one. You're sitting around the room building strategy. Hey, I got something. Yeah, what? Well, I brought some things from home, and I think, maybe here, you guys just take a look at it. Shouldn't kids be reading this?
Yeah. Look,
Is this pornographic material?
Democrats sitting around going, what are we going to do? How can we beat the Republicans? What can we possibly come up with? Let me see here. What are the things? I got it. Let's provide sexually explicit content to children.
Yeah.
And when Republicans say no, we'll say Republicans want to ban books.
Exactly.
That's it. Well, that's it. We're going to win.
Yes.
That's a winning strat. Maxine Waters, what do you think? Ah! Maxine's for it. Let's go for it.
Right.
I mean, and on the entire DOGE thing, as you notice, I have not seen any Democrat. There may be one, and if it's there, make sure I get it. Make sure we get it, because I don't want to do all the work. Make sure we get it, because we want to analyze, but I've not seen anywhere. And if they believe they have a point, they'll do it. I haven't seen anywhere where anybody has challenged anything specifically that Trump has said, I want this gone.
By the way,
I want this gone. Or Marco Rubio, Trump, whatever, or even Elon Musk suggesting it goes. When you look at it, you go down and you go, you can't argue that. You can't argue that. You can't argue that. So the only thing they're arguing is they won't argue the substance of what the president wants to cut.
Exactly. By the way, I'm just going to say this: if you're going to complain about doing all the work for the show, I'm not going to let you do all the work any longer.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to stop letting you do that.
But as the only thing, their only argument is a lie.
It always is.
That Elon Musk somehow, as an unelected official, has the authority to do anything, which he does not.
Right.
And everybody knows that's a lie.
Right.
But it's okay. Let's have the debate.
Sure.
Let's keep it open. Keep doing what you're doing. Every day, Levitt's out there going, here's some other stuff. And they seem to be communicating that effectively from the executive branch through Congress and everything else, because you win the argument by simply saying, this is your money. Do you want it spent on this?
Yeah, it's, you just mentioned that Elon Musk is, not popular. Well, it happens when you become a conservative or become more conservative.
Well,
I wouldn't describe him as a conservative.
When you leave the Democratic Party?
Exactly.
Okay.
And you're the face of the entire EV movement and and the poster child for EVs and the coolest guy 1 minute, the next minute you're supporting Trump and you're the devil. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, just so you know, because when Maxine Waters was saying about the fact that he's made money off the government, and he has government contracts, and that's fine, and we're watching to make sure he's not rewarded for the stuff that he's doing.
Sure.
And we had said early on when they talked about this, and we said because someone said, well, he's going to want more subsidies from the government. He'll get them for no. He said he doesn't want any subsidies for his electric vehicles. And I don't believe because in the position he has, because it would present, if he would do it, and he's not doing it, but if he did it, it might present a perception of a conflict of interest.
Right.
And so, no, I wouldn't want that. And when he took it, we said, well, we'll make sure that he stays that way, because you don't even want the perception of a conflict of interest to stop you on this mission to point out where the wasteful spending is.
Sure, and on the in the bigger picture, Trump doesn't want that. Trump is it because while he's going to be done after this term, Trump is going to have a massive influence as long as he's alive. But the spirit of the entire MAGA movement, if you think about it, is in full play right now, and I think probably will be for years to come. And that's so. The point is, Trump doesn't want anything to get in the way, or shouldn't want anything to get in the way of that, of where the party's going to go, where his agenda is going to go beyond him being president, and including any kind of conflict that might come up regarding Elon Musk or anybody else. That's part of this, doing anything in an advisory position. It's, again, hilarious to watch the left crying about someone who wants to cut government spending. And when you bring up USAID, look, that's going to be, if people don't know what it is when they learn about because the first thing they say, again, is foreign aid. Let's cut foreign aid. Very populist opinion and approach when you talk about cutting. And they're not going to win this. The left is making this a topic that more and more people are going to become aware of and go, oh, we're spending money on that? No. And Department of Education, all the waste, because what has it gotten us? Spending more money. Well, the problem is we're not spending enough. Every time, Democrats come back to the table.
Well, if you wish to spend more money, you do it from the state level. The reason is not to get rid of oversight of education. It's to keep it as close to the people as you possibly can.
It should be local and state.
And the spending closer to the people so there's more accountability. It has nothing to do with wanting to get rid of education.
It also does away with a one-size-fits-all approach that the liberals have had, and also their agenda. One example, the Obama administration joint edict on transgender kids, with the Department of Education and Department of Justice. And, there's so much agenda at work. The states can decide. Let the locals decide and the states decide how those schools are going to be run. That's not a hard concept.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I'm sorry, just saw a headline. Hurricane Musk and USAID panic. Elon gets a flavor of the pushback his DOGE project is going to get. Now, we knew it was going to happen because when you actually tell the American public we're going to go through line by line what the spending is and show it to you, Democrats are going to freak.
Yeah.
Because they know the American public isn't going to agree with so much of it.
Right.
and will be in favor of it being cut. That's what's really going on here, and we all know it.
Yep.
They wish to keep their power, and they keep their power through a bureaucracy that has a culture of left-wing activism and has money, taxpayer dollars, that really haven't been accounted for or publicized to the American public as to where that money's going.
Well, and because Trump is now in his second term, the GOP, the party benefits if by the end of that term, the GOP can say, look, with the leadership of Trump and with, all of us on Capitol Hill, we were able to cut all of this spending and cut all these departments and blah, 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 blah. And we want to keep doing that. The left does not at all want the GOP to have that as a selling point for either the midterm, which, who knows how much we'll see by the midterm in terms of cuts or anything like that. But they don't want it for 28. They don't want the GOP to be able to say, hey, we're downsizing. We're doing what the American people wanted. And that's the long-term game here, is that the left doesn't have anything new to offer. They have the same playbook they've used for a long time. Identity politics and spending. Dismantle our entire, if you think about the Justice Department being weaponized and criminals being able to roam free, crime on the rise. They loved that. In fact, they made that happen. What do they have to offer? What are they going to promise?
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Just looking at two headlines, both of them from National Review.
All right.
David Hogg will not solve the Democrats' problems. He was voted vice chair of the DNC. David Hogg, yes, the total anti-gun, radical as you can possibly get, Democrat. David Hogg is now the vice chair of the DNC. And remember, after all of the talk about gender and race and everything else, who became the leaders of the DNC?
Two white guys.
Two white guys. But I'm reading that one. There's another headline. Is the Democrats' problem that they're not obnoxious enough? And
wow.
And it's just,
perfect.
To me, the most interesting political story is where Democrats are going. Yeah. And I'm saying interesting because not important, but interesting because it is important for future races. Because what Trump is doing is what Trump said he was going to do.
Yeah, right.
So you can like it or not like it, but it's what he said he was going to do.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, fine. The big question is, okay, Democrats lost on the issues. The issues that they stand for are even less popular than the Republican politicians in the United States. People hate where the Democrats stand on the issues. Here's David Hogg after he was elected vice chair. After all the gender stuff, another white male for the Democrats. Here we go.
Are you ready to go on the offense? Are you ready to go on the offense? We have to win back our young people. I am the only candidate in this race for any of these positions that is under 30. We had a 20-point shift to the right of our young people. We must show our young people we give a damn about them, that we support them, and we invest in them. I have raised over $11 million in the past year to support the future of our party, because I don't just tweet, I don't just talk the talk, I also walk the walk and I knock the knock in doors across the country, but I'm counting on you in this moment right now. I need your support. Please.
There you go.
All right.
They've doubled down on everything. They've doubled down.
Yeah.
And you and I said back in 2018, we said they got to change eventually. And it's like they keep doubling down, and when they keep losing and when they're very unpopular on the issues, they just keep thinking to themselves, we just haven't screamed loud enough. And the headline there, David Hogg will not solve the Democrats' problem because he is a result of them. He is the creation of the insanity of the last 4 years.
Yep.
And that's absolutely true. And then the other headline that I loved was the Democrats' problem is the Democrats' problem that they're not obnoxious enough. This was Noah Rothman in National Review. And they quote David Hogg, "We need to build a Democratic Party that is authentic, relatable, earns people's trust, and wins again." Well, that sounds enough prescription. So what did David Hogg propose to do to see his vision come to fruition? We have to stop being cowards. It's time to be bold, aggressive, and to fight, he added. It's not entirely clear what Hogg meant by that, what his vision of bold, aggressive fighting looks like, or how his disposition corrects for the Democratic Party the current approach for political messaging. Indeed, his recommendations that the DNC provide a tsunami of content akin to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's recent performance on Instagram Live suggests that his tenure at the DNC will even yield just more of the same. And then they go to but not every insufferable youngish activist with a head of steam is about them is so vague. CBS News recently devoted a segment to a TikTok content creator, Suzanne Lambert, a self-described liberal, a reference to the most obnoxious, she calls herself a Regina George liberal, a reference to the most obnoxious and unrelatable character in the 2004 film Mean Girls. She says that Democrats, in order to win, need to be meaner. They haven't been mean enough.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And so, you look at everything yesterday, the Maxine Water stuff, the Shumer stuff, the fact that they have not changed on any issues. By the way, does anybody have an indication that when they claim that they embraced the majority of the Trump agenda with Kamala Harris, anybody believe now that they were lying about that? That they really didn't believe in securing the border?
It's
that they really didn't believe in, well, we're about efficient government and we're about cutting. Anybody actually believe when she was appointed and she flip-flopped on all the major issues that she actually, or the Democratic Party, believed it? Or they just thought, you're a bunch of suckers and we can sell you anything?
In one interview, she, and I think this is almost a direct quote, talking about pretending, she was strong on the border. She said, look, I believe in a wall. Walls are walls. And this wall that we're going to do is going to be a wall. It's so fascinating that within a few months of her running that ad, remember the ad with the wall in the background, which we all knew was just stupid. They're screaming about deportations. They're protesting deportations.
They're protesting criminal deportations.
Right.
Oh, look, we had to say this back, what was it, 15 years ago when the massive protests were held in Dallas? And we just said, Democrats and liberals and illegals, whatever, you need to effectively communicate. And when you're saying, that we're not going to leave, and you're waving the flag of the country that you do not want to go back to, people ask the question, do you have your head on right? Do you even know what you're talking about? If you believe the United States is great, everybody should be waving American flags.
Right.
Why are you waving the flag of the country that you do not wish to go back to? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
So we're just trying to help you out here.
Right.
Now, waving the American flag probably is not going to help your message anyway, but waving the flag of the country that you do not want to go back to just doesn't seem to make any sense.
Well, the problem that everyone has now, especially if you're on the left, is if you have a protest and you're waving a bunch of American flags, a lot of people think it's going to be a Trump rally.
I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. You're right.
It's like
they can't wave American flags.
Exactly.
The American flag is too offensive.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had mind blank there for a moment. I forgot where we are in society right now. I should go home and get some sleep.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
Wow, is Trump in town? Look at all those American flags.
The message is completely lost. Look, a Trump rally.
you walk up and there's a crowd and everybody's there and they're all, hey, do you guys know when Trump's coming? What? Yeah, this is a Trump rally, right? Am I at the wrong rally? Look. This is why I believe. I don't know. Tens of millions of people voted for Kamala Harris, and so you have to take that into consideration. They're not done winning elections by any stretch. But winning the argument, well, they've been done with that for a long time. But a winning campaign strategy overall on a national level is more and more a losing game. It was in November, and I believe it will be for quite some time. This is David Hogg. He's talking about young people. Well, talk about what's actually going on with young people. What are they looking at? They're looking at the reality. These are individuals who are, by default, early in their career. They're not making their peak yet because they're not middle-aged.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so they're looking at all of this, everything with inflation. They're wanting to move out on their own, and I have some experience in this. My three oldest grandchildren, the oldest is actually living on her own, but she's got roommates. She actually lives with her cousin, her second cousin. And they're looking at, how do I make ends meet? How do I pay for a car? I'm trying to go out into the world and just live. And the inflation is this huge crushing weight on their shoulders. Then they look at the border situation. Part of the border situation, the criminal activity from the criminals that are here illegally, that's one thing. But also people look at it and say, well, wait a minute. What are we spending on individuals who are here illegally? What as a nation are we spending on? And why isn't someone looking to help me, my community? This is what we heard. This goes back years, actually. Goes back to the first Trump term and 2016 election cycle. People, the young, the 18, I'd say 18 to 30, 18 to 35, the reality hits them hard too. And financially it hits them hard because, again, They're just starting their careers. They're not earning the top dollar yet. And they also have a different sensibility. You know, Hogg is all agenda. He's full liberal, radical agenda. He doesn't represent his own age group.
Well, and he doesn't represent the new Democrats coming out of the defeat. He is the reason Democrats were defeated.
Exactly.
He was created in that time period, promoted everything, and he's trying to promote himself as the new person, yet, as they write correctly, Jeffrey Blair in National Review, David Hogg will not solve the Democrats' problem because he is a result of them. Mm-hmm. He's not coming out and saying we need to reverse identity politics.
No.
We need to stop being racist.
Right.
We need to stop judging people by the group that they're in and judge them as individuals. We need to have a much more efficient government. We need to stop this debt in order to cure inflation. You saw, who was it that came out yesterday and said, you know, we may already be in the circle of financial hell because of the debt and the interest on the debt that we have.
Right, yeah.
It's like, you know, Trump wants the interest rate to come down. It's not going to come down when you have that kind of debt.
No, I mean, you're stuck right now. I don't, you lower interest rates, you're going to see inflation again. If we were to go back to the near zero interest rates, it's not going to work.
Wow. Did you see the New Jersey mayor? We'll get to that because we're talking about illegal immigration. He came out and said basically he and his wife are, you know, they have an illegal immigrant in their house, and that's what they were implying. And we dare the government to come in. We'll have that story coming up because you'll love it because Holman said, oh, okay, thanks. We'll take note of that. And then he backed off big time. No, we actually, this person, just in the general area of people that we know, and this person is actually legal, and we're just, it's like completely backed off the statement.
The virtue signaling, and they're the heroes, and how dare you, we dare you to.
Well,
I love Holman, by the way. Holman's, okay, thanks for the update. Thanks for the tip.
We'll have the full story coming up. 866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Let's go to Bill in Los Angeles. We were talking about cuts in the Department of Education and things like that in general when we talk DOGE. Bill, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Hi.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Very good.
Hey, I think I heard Eric say that states should run the schools as they choose, and I'm assuming he means financially, which I tend to agree with. But as a former teacher and education columnist, I can tell you that California's state government has run our K-12 schools into the ground with laws against inquiring about kids' residency in the country, DEI programs, and transgenderism that overrides parental prerogative. I mean, teachers are now basically forbidden from telling parents what their kids' gender orientation is if they talk to somebody at school. So I think we need federal help, as we seem to be getting from Trump, the executive branch, regarding this DEI nonsense and also this phony gender stuff that he's addressed, along with Title IX protection for girls in locker rooms, which California and other states still allow kids who claim to be wobbly that they can use whatever locker room they want. And then finally, we need federal enforcement of the Supreme Court ban on affirmative action in college admissions. So I think from that standpoint, we do need some federal assistance.
Well, what you need is Trump assistance, because keep in mind, Obama wasn't the federal assistance you needed, right? So same policy as California, or even more to that agenda. But Bill, it's, you know, it really is the people of California that make these decisions.
Yeah, but any school, just like any business, is under the constitutional civil rights law in this country. Mm-hmm. So you had, for example, Obama just try to change it through executive order, and which was unconstitutional. So you had the federal government can be a huge problem, but a lot of the problems in the state of California is the elected people that you put into office over the last half a century. And states, when you have 50 states, there are states that will completely screw up their states, as we have found out.
Yeah.
And for the federal government, again, outside of, and I think you're more talking about this, it seems to me everything you mentioned would fall under more of the civil rights issues and the 14th Amendment and, equality and things like that, and no preferences, exactly what the Constitution says, which is different than actually the money or the policies put into effect by local, school boards or state school boards, whatever they're referred to, state agency educational boards, that, the culture of the state dictates that. The culture of the state that you have in California differs, for example, in Texas and in Florida. And that's because of comes down to eventually the will of the people, even though it might be tougher to change because it's so entrenched in California. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a one-party state that believes in nullification, and that's my point. I think we agree on that. The finances are a separate issue, but we're struggling out here because parents, as I said, are being overridden by the state mandates that are inculcated on the local level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's look, it's for anybody who is a critical thinker in California, or a conservative. It is, and you guys know all too well, it is an uphill battle and a massive mountain to climb because the Democrats control the state. But that culture is in place, and I don't. Unfortunately, for our friends in California, for everybody in California, I don't. It's unfortunate, and I don't expect that to change. So thanks for the call. We greatly appreciate it, Bill. 866-90 Red Eye.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, first off, to our last caller, Bill, in Los Angeles, it all depends, as Eric said, who's in the federal government.
Right, yeah.
You look at California's education system, a lot of people ticked off about it, but the civil rights law applies, but if the federal government under the executive branch, like Obama, perverts, because he's the one that started the perversion, think about it, how clear it is. Everybody knew what Title IX was about.
Right.
Everyone knew what it was about.
Yeah.
It was about ensuring that biological women get a chance to play sports, that there are opportunities for them across the board. It was never intended to be for a man who thinks they're a woman. And so when Obama, remember, it was the Obama administration that started this insanity. People want to look at the Biden administration. Obama started it.
And we said then it's going to come back. It was toward the end of his second term, and we said, look, they're not done. If the GOP comes in, that's only going to be temporary. That any change would be implemented. The left is not done on this agenda item, and they weren't.
No, and then remember the craziness of Obama doing that interview, one of the last interviews he did before he was out of office, where he was asked, well, you call yourself black, but, his mother was white? Yeah. Mother, I forgot. Yeah. And he said, why do you call yourself black? And he goes, well, because I've come to realize that race is a social construct, which was the same argument as gender. Gender was a social construct. Right. And we said, wow, Is that going to be publicized? And nobody but that article, no Democrat would ever talk about that one. No liberal black leader would ever mention that whatsoever. It was as if Obama never said that, because that's so incredibly radical that it's like, okay, just ignore that we'll just pretend that one never happened.
Right.
But you and I caught that in the last interview and talked about it.
The idea that
show.
it's a social construct, the Rachel Dolezal theory.
Exactly. And, understanding just how radical of a person Obama was, but he started all of it. Mm-hmm. You think about it, he started that. Mm-hmm. Obama was the catalyst for the cop hating in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That, really, you think about it, because he was out of office in 2016. It's 2025, and we're now just getting past all of that.
Right. Yeah.
Super Bowl update.
Okay.
The end racism signs will not be in the end zone of the Super Bowl.
Oh.
The Black Lives Matter influence on the National Football League is slowly going away. Now, Eric and I disagreed with it. And here's our suggestion to the NFL. Because the question is always asked, well, we can't stop this because systemic racism exists. They just have to focus as to where the systemic racism is.
Yeah.
What they need to do is say identity politics is racism and put that on the back of their helmets. Judging people by groups and not individuals is wrong. We're the NFL, and we're against where the Democrats stand. We're against the racism of identity politics. Stop it now. Stop the misogyny of the radical transgender movement, Democrats. These are the kind of signs that we believe should be in all NFL cities, in all stadiums, or the NFL doesn't care.
Alan, would you write all that down and send it over to Roger Goodell, please?
Yes.
Thanks. I'm sure he'd be fully on board.
And let Roger know that I'm originally from Buffalo, because he's from the Buffalo area too.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help a little.
Right.
bit.
Yeah. And also tell him we also approve 18 games a season.
Oh, did you see the NFL referees group, whatever?
Yeah.
We're not favoring Kansas City. We're not favoring Kansas City.
Yeah.
Just because the calls all go their way does not mean we're favoring Kansas City.
Right.
Oh, my gosh, it's hilarious watching that back and forth on X.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I love that.
Now,
I love that.
I would hate to do sports every day. I've got friends of mine that are still sports talk show hosts today. Good friends. I could never do their job. Why? There's not enough to talk about.
Yeah. And now, back in the day,
except stupid stuff.
Exactly. If you were doing Stephen A. Smith has gone full on politics.
I know.
He's found a way, right? It's like, yeah, but that's not sports. But he's, the thing is, back in the day for talk radio, it was work finding enough topics. If you had a 3-hour show, forget a 5-hour show. That would be insane. Nobody would ever do that, especially in the middle of the night, right? And so now, and it's really ramped up in the last few weeks. I'm not sure why. I can't quite put my finger on it.
I wonder what changed.
I just can't keep up. My phone, I'm convinced I'm going to get a notification from my phone. Sorry, you've hit your limit on app notifications from news apps, because my news apps it used to be, I don't know, you'd go through a couple of hours in the day and I'd get, I don't know, let's say half a dozen, maybe 8, maybe 10. Now, if I expand on the front screen all of my notifications, headlines, because Trump is so busy, all these things that are happening right now, I actually have to scroll. I literally have to scroll through all of them when I expand them. Here it is. There's my phone. And this is just since we started.
if I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, or I take it off of Do Not Disturb, I just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had to turn everything off at 2 p.m. because Monday I couldn't sleep. I was, because I do all the research on, the 95% of what I do is off my phone, and then the TV is on. A lot of it's on, the YouTube stuff, Forbes, which goes through what's going on in Congress and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be sitting there. There was so much going on Monday. I mean, I woke up Monday. Did I try to think? Did I work out? Yeah, I did do weights on Monday. So I did do weights just for about an hour, and then when I was done about 11 o'clock in the morning, the TV was on YouTube, and I'm on the recliner. I had 2 cups of coffee. It got to be 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I hadn't eaten yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was so wired from analyzing everything that was going on, and I kept looking at my phone. I went to bed, and I'm still looking at my phone. What about this? What about that? What about that? And I said, I can't do this because I couldn't sleep. Mm-hmm. And so yesterday, I'm like,
no, actually, yesterday was one of those days for me because
at 2 o'clock, I had to say, I'm done. I can't. And then when I woke up at 10 o'clock and looked, I was able to catch up quickly. But when I looked at all the headlines, I was completely lost. I go, what about this? Where did this come from? What about that? What about?
I cleared my notifications 4 or 5 times, and then every time I went back, it was just boom, 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 boom. It's everything is so. And when the joint press conference started, I was getting in my truck, and I thought, all right, I'll turn on Fox News and listen to the press conference, and then all the stuff that came from that, the Gaza stuff and everything else. And it was, I can't imagine doing anything else in terms of radio. But it's a real workout right now. I'm going to whine about it for a minute. I mean, it is really like you feel. Last Friday, I remember going home, and it was and you just feel like you just worked out, for hours and hours or days and days, and it doesn't really stop because we have to do all of our show prep at home and on the fly and everything else, and it just now is really, keeping up with everything. You better stay on it. It's especially busy right now.
Yeah, it really is.
But the good news is it's all for good reasons.
Oh no,
I love it.
Yeah, I love doing it, but it's just at times you're like, okay, I have to sleep, and then I have I live in a 3-bedroom house. Mm-hmm. 1 bedroom's all set up for guests visiting. It's perfect. Mm-hmm. The other one I can set up and put a bed in, but that's really my workout room. Mm-hmm. My workout and storage room, because we don't have basements. Mm-hmm. So I've got my, the machines in there. Well, I'll leave my phone out in the other room, and then I'll start doing reps. And the excuse to sit there and only do like 2 or 3 reps and not 5 or 6 or 7 is I got to check my phone. Mm-hmm. So that's a difference between like 7 or 8 minutes of working out and doing it for 20 minutes. But then I always want to rest my muscles anyway. So when you do the reps, it's like, no, you want to, just let them relax for a couple minutes. And it's like, I don't want to bring my phone in because I will be sitting there. I'm actually doing reps, looking at my phone, doing this. I got the total gym. One of the things I have is a total gym thing. So my hands are going back and forth and the phone's in my hand. I go, let me read that one there.
Well, I can't keep my phone.
It's gotten to that point of being ridiculous because there's so much information out there and you want to make sure that you cover everything.
If I'm doing a project, I can't keep my phone near me. I'll never get anything done. And the problem with that is, the conundrum is, you come in, you come back inside if you're doing a project outside or whatever, or you come back into the room, and you've got all these things. But if I know that if I see my phone flash, it's like, what is it? And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm in research mode.
Well, the last 2 weeks since Trump has become president, I really haven't, it's off season, and I've got an automatic thing that I throw in the bottom of the pool, but I really haven't cleaned my pool. I did check to make sure the chemicals were right the other day, and they were perfect, but I haven't been able to do the outside work, and every time I try to do a project or clean the house or do laundry, I get interrupted by looking at the phone, and then I sit down. I go, well, where's this? I'm not cleaning my house. I may need a maid because of Trump. Trump has cost me more money. Trump may cost me more money because I need to get a maid to keep up.
No. Look at it this way. Trump is creating a job. You're welcome.
It's great. Exactly.
Right.
But it really is. It is so, it's fun. It's great. I don't think either of us want to give the impression that it bothers us.
No, actually, I love it, but it's
information.
It's interesting to look at how much is going on.
It's information cocaine.
Well,
it's what it is. It's like, I gotta have, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more.
The confirmation votes and everything else, and which is a normal part of the process. But then, hey, we're buying Gaza. Wait, what? And then the other one is, and then not long after that is, and we're going to offer buyouts to every person in the CIA. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm still working on the Gaza thing.
Well, part of it is you read the headline and you're like, is this true? Where during Biden, it was like, oh, I read the headline. It's the same old crap of last week, the week before, the week before, the week before, the week before.
Right.
The week before.
It's not based on. It wasn't based on anything real, or there were a bunch of lies,
or
it was it was regurgitated stuff.
Yeah.
And with Trump, it is something new, a few times a day. Like Gaza, wow, because he's getting the comps, right? He's getting the real estate comps right now. He's got it. I don't know how much it's worth, but we're going to find out.
The Democrats going to go after him. I'm sorry. Your appraisal of Gaza was wrong. We're going to impeach you. Or Bragg, can you charge him on something for his appraisal on Gaza?
A judge is going to say it's worth $1,900 billion trillion. And Mar-a-Lago is only worth $100,000.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. We are Red Eye Radio, in case you forgot that. Coming up following the top of the hour, we've got some great audio coming up. But the whole thing of the New Jersey mayor, we're keeping an illegal immigrant in our house, and I just dare Trump to come and, to our house and home and went, oh, thanks for that information.
Yeah, thanks for the
we've
tip.
got it now. And then he backed off completely.
Wow.
No, it's not illegal. It's
no.
Greatness.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
Thanks so much for being here. By the way, David Hogg, the new vice chair, being referred to
of the DNC,
yes, as Boss Hogg.
Ah! He is kind of bossy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, what a zoo.
Here's a headline. that's funny? The Hill.
Okay.
And it's on their X page. It's with the link to the article at thehill.com. Pete Buttigieg excites Democrats as he mulls Michigan Senate bid.
Wait a minute.
What?
He took his pronouns off social media.
Maybe he's going to invent a new pronoun. Yeah. All right. He excites Democrats. Is it? Okay. Okay.
All right. Now, this was great. This was great what happened a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Governor Murphy came out and said about he and his wife and illegal immigrants, quote, I don't want to get into too much detail, but there is someone in our broader universe whose immigration status is not yet at the point that they are trying to get it to. And we said, you know what? Let's have her live in our house above our garage, Murphy told Blue Wave New Jersey, a progressive activist group. And good luck to the feds coming in and trying to get her, he added. Sean Hannity had Tom Homan on, and here's what Homan had to say.
Well, I think the governor's pretty foolish saying what he said, because I got note of it, won't let it go, we'll look into it. And if he's knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien, that's a violation of Title 8 United States Code 1324.
There you go. So he laid out what law he has broken.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy's office attempted to clarify the situation then on Monday, telling the New York Post that his comments were about a legal resident in their social circles that were worried about Trump's return to power. And no one's ever lived in the house in the situation that Murphy described. It is unclear why Murphy would want to protect an unnamed resident from deportation if she is in the United States legally.
Yeah.
Eric, some advice for you and myself, and I'm going to abide by this advice too. I'm giving the advice to myself too.
All right.
Let's make sure in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've done it yet, but we just need to be wary. Let's not admit on the air that we are currently committing any type of state or federal crime. I just think that's a good that's
what
a
about
good thing to
city
follow.
ordinances?
Or city ordinance.
Oh, crap.
So let's be careful. When I'm going to be careful about when I go home on the tollway, which is 70 miles an hour, I'm not going to say that I plan on going 72 because I know there's a buffer, and then give the make of my vehicle. These people are just idiots. I mean, they really, really are.
I was buying some weed from this guy the other day, and I said, can you believe that these idiots talk about breaking the law in front of other people?
Then my next question would be, what state do you live in?
Right. Yeah. I love the virtue signaling by the New Jersey governor here. We will, by the way, he looks a little like Michael Caine. There's only two kinds of people I can't stand. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch. Great line from Austin Powers. It is they love to put their Superman capes on. I'm a hero. We have someone who was here illegally living in our garage apartment. Homan, that's against the law. I didn't mean legally, illegally. I mean,
no. Not only it's against the law, I've taken note of it.
Yeah, right. Well, no, she's here legally. Then why would ICE have any interest? These people, he's a governor. He won an election. Wow. They don't think at all. It's all about being the hero.
No, they don't. Then they have
about being the
Then
hero.
they have to backtrack, which gets them in trouble because it's like the left is going, yeah.
Well, how do you not see that? How do you not say, well, you know what? I want them to legalize marijuana. I have 2 pounds right now in my bedroom closet. I plan on smoking, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And then the cops show up at your door. You need a warrant. No, we have probable cause. What's that? Your confession.
You just told us. We're coming in. Plus, we can smell it. Willie Nelson's bus doesn't smell like that bad. It's. I don't smoke weed. It's the
or cigarettes.
I don't. I really don't. Or cigars.
Or cigars.
Or pipes.
Or pipes.
Brisket. That's about the only thing I'll smoke. And that's
true.
Much harder to fit in the pipe. but and it doesn't give you any buzz whatsoever. But they say it's good. I don't know how they don't. How do you not control that? Where is the gate? Where's the safety mechanism politically in their brain?
You're a Democrat.
Yeah.
Don't you know about the fifth?
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're not going to get me to admit to those kidnappings that I did.
You know, speaking of smoking and drugs and all that, you see that wine consumption is down pretty drastically.
Really?
Yeah, like 7%.
Wow. What's up with that?
I don't know, it might be the cost of wine.
Well, I'd read something a while back that we are drinking less. But quite frankly, after the whole work from home COVID thing, by default, everything after that is going to be drinking less. Because remember the study that came out, 50% of the people working from home were drinking during the day on a regular basis. And by the way, the other 50% were lying. But I saw that there was a downward trend in alcohol, consumption altogether. So I guess wine would be a part of that. Wine's kind of a different thing, though. I mean, it is alcohol, but it's also the whole,
the culture.
It's more of a social setting kind of thing, unless you're alone. There is a lot of that there, right? Where people collect wines, where they, have wines with at dinner parties and blah, blah, blah. It's so there's something, I wonder if there's something unique to wine and that whole social aspect that's going away. I don't know.
Interesting. Do you remember the Seinfeld episode about the woman that Jerry was dated that was Native American? I remember he had the cigar store Indian and all that. And then he was trying to, for example, trying to make amends with her because he was giving Elaine the cigar store Indian and, doing stuff like, oh, and stuff back and shaking it back and forth. And she's in the room and she leaves. And he didn't know she was Native American. He went to apologize to her and all that. And that just gets into the scenario where Kramer gets the cigar store Indian. And then, it is as politically incorrect as you can get. Well, that actress is a Native American. And she was talking about, oh, no, it was, she loved doing it. She said, because it did bring up all these things that's inside the culture, that come from it. Because remember, we're, She said, "Where are we going to go?" And he said, "Oh, I got we're going to be eating at this restaurant." She goes, "How'd you get that?" He goes, "Oh, I made and then doesn't want to say
Didn't
reservations.
want to say reservations.
And he goes, "And afterwards, we're going to go to the Knick game. I got second row seats." She goes, "How'd you do that?" He goes, "Oh, I got them from from the guy who gets." And then remember that Jerry took her TV guide, and she wanted it back. And she said, "I need it back." He goes, "Well, I gave it away." He said, "You gave it to me." He said, you know, what are you? And then
Right.
the whole thing,
Right.
whole
Yeah.
Indian giver, and
Right.
and so he didn't and didn't want. But she was talking about the fact that she wanted to be a good representative for Native Americans, and so in that thing where they're, where that whole thing takes place, that she, they wanted to drink wine, and she just said, I don't want to portray the stereotype of being a Native American who drinks.
Yeah.
She goes, there's a challenge, in our culture with, and I don't, and if I can help one person and I can be on that stage and do it, and Larry, David, and Jerry said, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So what they pour her is simply the sparkling grape juice in the bottle, and you can see, they show it in the picture of it, where you can see, oh my gosh, it's sparkling. It's a sparkling grape juice.
All right.
That was on. It was a podcast for Seinfeld that came up just the other day, because I put it on. It doesn't matter whether I put it on. Like Forbes is great to go on, because Forbes on YouTube, and I have no commercials on YouTube. Just goes through all the stuff of Congress.
Right.
Well, that'll go on for like 20 minutes, and the next thing that comes up, because it's in random shuffle, will be a music video and then a podcast or whatever, as I'm doing my show prep on my computer or my phone, the majority of the time my phone. And so that actually came up. So, that was interesting. So,
yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Brian, by the way, Brian Regan has, on the reservation thing, Brian Regan has a bit. He says, if you have second thoughts about making an appointment to Native American land, that would be a reservation.
Oh, shit. So, but it's just I guess my question would be, if alcohol is dropping, is there a direct relation to pot use growing? That would be
There
my
could be
question.
that.
Or
is the wine consumption culture changing at all? Whatever that might be, right? Or is it just that people are drinking less alcohol?
Yeah, maybe.
There is a rise in I know in the zero alcohol beer. There's a handful of new brands that have come out, and then they do the whole health thing. Look, if you're into the health kick and you don't want to, have the mind fuzz the next day, after drinking, then you can still enjoy our great tasting, beverages, and its different flavored beers and all that kind of thing. I don't know if that's generational. I would love to see the breakdown on demos and why it's happening. But there is, I think we're still at the point, I'd have to double check, where alcohol consumption was dropping. It wasn't too long ago that was the case. Wine would be included in that. Plus, do people have the money? I mean, wine, you can get cheap wine, but are people going to spend the money on it? Are they making a health choice? Or
in our college days, what was it, Boone's Farm? Remember that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Boone's Farm wine.
Yeah.
Does that even exist today? I have no idea.
I don't know.
It's like,
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the whole thing, the virtue signaling from the governor, man, that backfired big time, didn't it?
Well,
just backfired big time.
I don't know why they can't in that moment know how that's not going to boomerang immediately. You're so into the virtue signaling, being a hero. We're a hero. We gave her a home. Did you say she's here illegally? That means that you're acting illegally. I didn't mean she's here illegally. She's here illegally. So
and she's not staying at the home.
Yeah, she's not in the home. Not in the home. Why not? Are you a bigot?
So you're lying to virtue signal.
Exactly.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's our Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. I want to play this here quickly here. This is CNN, and this is in response to the craziness of the Democrats. They played a bunch of audio coming from the Democrats screaming about Elon Musk. Here we go.
We will win. We will win. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Gretchen.
Yes,
So,
they need
can we
the
play it
Democrats.
again?
The Democrats need a real leader. Okay, they need a real leader, which currently does not exist in the Democratic Party, and they have been caught completely flat-footed with the entire Trump presidency for the last 2 weeks and Elon Musk. I said on CNN months ago that Elon Musk would be the most influential advisor to President Trump, and that is proving to be true, whether you like it or not. But Democrats should have had a plan for this. They knew it was coming. We say this every single night.
2025.
We knew
as
it.
We just talked about.
We knew it. Trump has said all of these things were going to happen. We saw him align with Elon Musk, which may go down as the smartest thing that any presidential candidate has ever done, from the young vote to tech to a million other things. So Democrats needed to have a plan, and it may be too late.
Yeah, Bakari, are you fired up after?
I'm fired up and ready to go.
He goes, can't you see it in my face? Yeah. That's Bakari Sellers, the liberal. That was Gretchen Carlson, formerly of CBS and Fox.
Right.
There, and you have Scott Jennings there just dying laughing. Everybody's just dying. They're all mocking them, even the liberals going, you have no plan. You don't know. But as Gretchen Carlson said, they needed a plan. What's their plan?
What's their plan? Yeah, because what they're doing is they're screaming in protest. If you think about the anger of the Trump followers, they were angry and looking for change. That's not the case now.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara.
Everybody, we have convened here in the right place, the Treasury Department. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. Nobody told you could get all of our private information.
And I wanted to let you finish because we had played. We couldn't play all the audio that they were listening to on CNN because there was too much GD this and GD that because they're just in full rage mode.
Right.
The Democrats right now, and when we had played the part of that audio, and then the reaction from everybody, even the Democrats in there. Everybody's laughing at them like these people are completely clueless. And the advice was, you guys have no plan. You knew this was coming. And even they went to Bakari Sellers, who's just like, we've got to,
Yeah.
This is just
it's
just
it's
ridiculous.
so cringe.
And you were I want to let you finish your point that you were making.
Yeah, it's the problem is, we need to pause our commercial break so I can talk longer.
Well, you had to hurry up at the end, and I know you didn't.
No,
you weren't happy you didn't get your complete thought.
Well, I was thinking. In fact, in the previous break, I walked down the hall and I was thinking, look at their strategy, right? And this appears to be a strategy. They probably looked at the MAGA movement, but especially the MAGA movement of 24. It was people showing up that were angry about the reality that was hitting them hard every day. Real things. You look at the Democrats, and this appears to be a strategy because they're doing it. I'm guessing they probably got we need to be more angry. We're losing people. We need to be more angry. We need to, and Shumer, he just looks like a clown and sounds like one. He also sounds aroused. But the problem with
God.
He said it.
I know.
He started the whole thing.
But I can't handle it anymore.
I don't like talking about arousal.
Continue.
So the strategy appears to be, look, what we need to do is we need to be, we're angry. But what are you angry about? And what are you pushing for? The people at Trump rallies were pushing a return to, the whole Make America Great Again thing. But it was a common sense approach on, how about, we close the border? How about we bring the economy back? How about crime is a crime, and if you're a criminal, you're going to pay for it, and you're not going to roam the streets? And no, boys don't get to go into the locker rooms with girls. You think about the things that people were angry, and still are angry about, and the left has this feigned, now they're over the top, crazy, but this, what you hear in this shouting here by these Democrats in office, is feigned anger. Well, you need to, this will get the crowd going, this will get the crowd. But it's not based in anything real. Reality is what lost you the election in November. Reality hitting every single American family over and over again. And people were angry about the reality that you crushed, that you totally destroyed every single day. They were angry about that. And so it's not going to work for the left. Go ahead and be angry about, whatever, but you're not proposing to do anything for people. You only want to punish people.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
Told you. He started it. He sounds aroused. He keeps saying the word aroused. I wouldn't be saying aroused if he wasn't saying aroused. It's not, aroused is not my favorite word. I mean, just say it out loud. Aroused. It's not a great word.
I'm sitting here, I'm blushing, actually. I'm like, I can't handle
not
this.
Not one of those words where you want to say, I don't walk around going, aroused, aroused, aroused. I don't do that. It's weird. It would be weird to do that, especially like, on a radio show.
You know what it is? And I've talked about that when I first became a talk show host. And I didn't want to be a talk show host. Mm-hmm. And probably every single talk show host has been through this, just like every stand-up comedian has bombed at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And when you become a talk show host, in day one, when you're in there, you don't know what's going to hit you. And all of a sudden, you've got a guest or a caller or whatever, and you really have not articulated in your mind and torn apart every argument. When you've been on the radio, when you've done it for, over almost 4 decades, or what is it now for me? 36 years in talk and then in radio over 42. But when you've been in the political arena, because in my entire radio career, I might have not been a talk show host, but I was still in management and above news departments, and so I had articulated opinions. But there comes to a point where when you don't have an argument and you've held an opinion and it's not working and you can't sell it and you can't argue it, and every day you have to give that same argument that isn't working, you become full of rage.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Yeah.
You become frustrated. You're full of rage. Well, an adult says, maybe I should re-examine my opinion and actually find out how things work. Maybe I just shouldn't throw out anything without doing my homework.
No, it's a good point.
That's where Democrats are right now.
Well, they got called out.
Yeah.
The entire world has become community notes. Think about this. And we've been saying it for years. You know, you are the media, but community notes applies to reality, the world we live in. You know, you'll be talking to somebody and they'll say, hey, what happened here in this blah, blah, blah. And more and more in my life, at least, and I think it's reality for most people, that person you're talking to, all of a sudden, they're Googling, they're researching. That's what that is. You are the media, and you're kind of checking things. And so there is this sense of, for the Democrats, and they controlled social media. They controlled it. We know that now. They owned and controlled it. You look at where we are now with that approach on social media, but it's been that approach in life for quite some time, as long as we've had smartphones. You got a computer in your hand. We said it for years. You know, we didn't say you are the media. We said you have the ability to go find the truth, which is what journalism is all about. And the Democrats hate this. This is what is happening right now. They're getting called out. They're finally getting called out on their BS. You know, it's been going on for so long. You know, it's like having, I don't know, that friend or relative or something, you know, and they've got whatever that is going on, or maybe they're just like a pathological liar, or they always tell these things that, you know, I used to play football for the Rams and or whatever. And then they get called out. In the modern age, everybody can, Google it. You know how my grandkids found out I never played in Aerosmith? They all have smartphones. That's their very harsh reality, is that even the rank and file Democrat, the voter, you heard it. The reaction from CNN. I mean, I know Gretchen Carlson doesn't, she's more on the right, but you see that they're looking at this going, oh man, things are so cringe with the party right now. It really is.
By the way, somebody called me out on something the other day. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. One of our listeners and said, this didn't turn out very well for you. And they provided, a statement from somebody who put out something. And they said, it didn't turn out, this didn't turn out well. I go, well, no, it actually did. And I presented my evidence, which was slam dunk. And they just responded saying, oh, I got to give you credit. You'd actually do your research. And I went, sort of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And I just said, have a wonderful day. I'm not going to get into specifics of it, but it was, and it's good to be able to do that. But you and I have always said we don't want to be discussing something that isn't true.
Right.
And I'm not going to say something, if especially if I say something, and this is something that I actually said on the air and presented the evidence.
Right.
So I don't think that person heard us present the evidence on the air. But we already had addressed it. But the other thing is they can't make the argument on anything, on every issue. You notice they're not bringing up any issues at all. The only issue they're trying to bring up is that Elon Musk is running the government, which he's not. Right. Elon Musk is a private consultant to the president who's not getting any pay. The president and, in the case of USAID, it would be Marco Rubio, who has the authority of Congress to look over that department. And what they give money to, the part of USAID that is not appropriated directly from Congress, they do have authority over. And it's that simple. And so they're making a false argument to begin with.
To build fear.
To build fear. It's a false argument. It's a lie. But then it's the same people screaming. And you should have heard the cursing. Like I said, I looked at you and said, should I play this? You're like, nah, you don't have to. But, I mean, there's GD this and GD that and son of this. And, it's just cursing. And it's Maxine Water's making an appearance again. She hasn't been around for the longest time. There she is screaming. Schumer's screaming and almost like doing some kind of dance. AOC's out there screaming. It's all the same radicals. And then they say, well, we've turned a new page. And we're going to get, a new DNC chair and vice chair, and we're gender this and race this. Yeah. They end up putting two of the most radical white men who have become popular because they have embraced and they came from the insanity of what the Democrats have been promoting the last 4 years. I mean, it's just, you're just like, hey, wake up, stupid.
Right.
But the problem is they don't have. Everything starts with an issue. I saw, again, Alice Cooper saying, they talked about, the stuff that he does. He goes, well, you actually need the song first. You got to have the song.
Yeah, because he does this big theatrical show.
Right. He goes, it's not the it's not the theatrics is fine. He goes, but you got to have the song that relates. It's the writing. It's the preparation. That's the major thing. The Democrats, for some reason, don't understand it's all about where you stand on the issues.
Yeah.
And the public has rejected you on the issues.
Yeah. Exactly. It's reality. And it's there. If there's any anger on the left, it's all driven by, and I agree with you, they've been called out. They're being called out. They've been, when you've been discovered, and then everybody, how many prominent or high-profile former Democrats are pointing to the lies that the party told, specifically about Trump? That's got to burn hard.
But they're trying to play class warfare with Elon Musk. Class warfare isn't working.
No, it isn't.
This is a guy. It's an oligarchy. Shut up.
They elected a billionaire.
Yeah. They elected a billionaire. They don't care that he's a billionaire.
Right.
They care where he stands on the issues.
Right.
But this guy, this is a government abuse. How? Right. You have a private citizen that the president said, hey, I want you to put together a group. You get no taxpayer dollars.
Right.
And you tell me what should be done. And if I like it, I'll do it.
Right.
Where's the government abuse?
Right.
Tell me where it is. Democrats cannot argue that simple question. Where is the abuse? Except we don't like Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Yep. And by the way, you know us. If Elon Musk throws out BS, we're going to call him on it.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I don't care who it is.
Yeah. So they don't, it's the same game plan. They just don't get it, but they box themselves into the corner. What issue are they going to come out with that the American public is going to embrace, that the American public has already rejected from them? They'd have to pivot 180 degrees.
Exactly.
They can't do that.
And they're not going to do that.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's our Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Remember, after this show is over, which is at 5 a.m. Central Time and 6 a.m. Eastern Time, we become the podcast.
That's right.
Which is a recording of the show. And if you can't listen to the show during the show, can't listen to one of our great radio stations, we stream live on our app all 5 hours.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.